Page 28, Shortnin Bread, is a fun little piece dealing with syncopation. You can Google what syncopation is. To me, syncopation is when you play a note when you don't expect it, or you don't play a note when you do expect one, or maybe an accent is in the wrong place or something. It throws the rhythm off. It puts an edge on it. Syncopation has been around since the beginning of music. There's always been syncopation. We get it in this piece, and I'll point it out a little more when we get there. I look it over, it's about a page long. Treble and bass clef signs. There's one sharp in the key signature. This is in the key of G major. Go ahead and do this scale for G major, at least one octave up and down. Make sure you're doing the trill exercise and the accents and so forth. And then 4/4 time signature. I'm going to take it one hand at a time because these hands are a little bit busy, especially with syncopation. Right hand, you are here. That puts you here. Remember the F sharp, it's in the key signature, so it's part of the hand position. And it's 1 and 2 and 3. In case you don't understand this rhythm, those second and third eighth notes are tied. Now if it's bothering you, I don't understand it. Take out the little tie and play all the eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3. That's all it is. Then when you put the tie in, you just hang on to the note rather than playing it again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. And that little arrow up above the note, it's a little misleading because some people would take that as a marcato, but it's not. It's just this publisher's way of indicating a syncopated note. It's really not part of the music. It doesn't need to be there. Doesn't affect anything. It's just telling you where the syncopated note is, because we expect the rhythm in the first measure to be this. That's nice and straightforward. Or we could do this. That's nice and straightforward. But when we add that tie in there, it throws it off. It's like we're either playing the second note too soon, or we're not playing the third note like we're supposed to. It's syncopation, and it's all over in this piece. Third measure, 1 and 2. Just come up. Rest, and you can come down here, 2, 3, rest. Now in the second line, measure 5, you get bass clef. So now you're down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. This is fun. But look out in measure 8. The chords, you have a here and here. So these do that. Here. And I go ahead and finger it that way. There's other fingerings, but whatever. Just do what your teacher tells you to do. And then for measure 9, you're back to treble clef again like you were at the beginning. It's the same rhythm as you had on the first line, except rather than using all eighth notes, now they put in a quarter note, which is the same as 2 eighth notes. 1 and 2. And most of the time in syncopated rhythm, you will see it written like in the third line. You won't see it written like in the first line. They just did that to point out the rhythm to you, to help you, because they got the counting in there, 1 in, 2 in. But really in the third line is where it is. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Now, measure 13, you're here. Then you just lift up, you're up, same notes up here. Then just come back down. And then for measure 16, the half notes, C sharp. If this doesn't fit, you gotta do that. Now, if you have to do this in measure 16, then the last note in measure 15 needs to be with the thumb. So it's the measure 15. So you can come over, and then for measure 17, it's that 1, 4. Now, if you can fit here in measure 16, okay, then the finger is not a problem. Second finger, and then measure 17. 1 and 2 and 3 and then the left hand will play the last 2 notes. And the last measure is here, 2, 3 here. A little tricky. Left hand with chords at first. And we want to be in a position where we can cover all these notes without moving around if we can. So since I got these notes and these notes, I guess I'm in this position. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Reach down. Now, measure 5, just lift up and come down. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Put the hands together, and we're here. Now, when I first put the hands together, I'll hesitate. That's fine. I don't care. I just want to know how the fingers are working together. We're here, right there. 1 and 2, and then when you play the half note, the left hand comes up. So real slow. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. What people usually do, and I wish you wouldn't, is they'll say, well, play it for me, let me hear it. Because it's easier just to copy what somebody else is doing than to read the music and figure it out and discover it for yourself. What I would prefer you do is be able to figure it out yourself, then check it with others. But just because you copy somebody, there's no guarantee they're doing it correctly. Learn to read this because once somebody plays this for you, oh, okay, it kind of goes along. You can feel that rhythm. But when you first look at the music, looking at it, think, what's going on? Makes a difference. So try and figure this out yourself first. Second line, you're down here. Now, in the first line here, second line, the left hand plays first, so move it first. And as you're playing it, you can move the right hand. So I'm moving one hand at a time. I'm not trying to move both hands. I'm doing here. Measure 9, then you got to come back up here. Well, again, the right hand plays first, so move it first, and as you're playing it, you move the left hand. So I'm moving one hand at a time. Now, measure 13, you're here. And again, measure 14, you're coming up here. The left hand isn't moving, just the right hand. Right hand, back down. Measure 17. They're all eighth notes pretty much. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you got to come left hand up. The rhythm's a bit tricky, but I think that's the point of this lesson, is dealing with tricky rhythms, syncopated rhythms. And once I have an idea of the hands together, then I'll go back over maybe a line at a time, or a measure or two at a time, whatever it takes, and work out the hesitations. You have to be careful when you have repeat sounds, because sometimes when you repeat, you got to have your hands in one position, but then when you go on, the hands got to be in a different position, and you got to check that. So in measure 8, we're here. First time we're going to repeat the second line. We're going to go back to measure 5, but we're okay. We're down here, just fifth finger, and we're here. So that we're okay to repeat, but going on, now we got to move up here. So we've got to make sure that we can get the hands where they need to go when the music starts jumping around. So once I work out the hesitations, I'll add the articulation. These staccatos are short staccatos. I'm hinging at the wrist here. I'm on the key and I'm just bouncing out. Boom, boom. See the accents? Just play them a little louder. Then measure 5. Everything's staccato. Boom, 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 boom. Okay. That's basically the articulation. The dynamics apply to the melody wherever it is. MP at the beginning is mezzo piano. These need to be soft. You get a crescendo in the third measure, come up to about moderately loud, and it's left hand now. because that's melody. This is soft in the right hand. So the third measure, and measure 5, we're soft, and the left, actually it's both hands here. Measure 8, we want to hear the left hand. Keep these soft. Now on measure 9, they don't give you another dynamic mark. I think that's an error because you're ending measure 8 softly. And measure 9 is like it was at the beginning. So in my opinion, you could put an MP in there in measure 9 and go back up to moderately loud or moderately soft like you were at the beginning. You don't have to stay soft. Now toward the end of the line or measure 11, you get the crescendo. And again, measure 13, they don't give you another. So in my opinion, you're staying moderately loud here because you went up. Now you're loud there in measure 16. That's the right hand though. And you're ending it loud, both hands. Both hands there toward the end. Now the speed, they give you metronome marking, but it's got to be accurate. So what can you do accurate? Moderato's in the middle. If you did it slow, that's slow. 1, 2, if you did it fast, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, that's fast. So moderato's just in the middle. Now they've added a little bit of pedal. In my opinion, you don't need pedal on this. However, they've added it, so let's see what the effect is. To see, maybe we like the effect. Maybe you like the sound of the pedal. So you always learn it without pedal first. So your fingers are doing what they're supposed to. You can hear what it sounds like. So that way, when you add the pedal, you can hear the difference. At the end of the second line, they have a pedal for the half note. Again, why are we pedaling? Well, here we're pedaling for the longer notes to color it a little bit. Put the notes down first and then the pedal. And whether you repeat or go on doesn't matter. Go ahead and lift the pedal with the note because we want a little silence at the end of a phrase. Same thing at the end of the third line. We're just coloring that note. We lose the staccato in the right hand. That you could, if you'd like, lift up with the right hand staccato. But there's not much point in pedaling if you're going to do that. I don't like the pedal at the end of the third line. In my opinion, you can leave that out. You didn't pedal at the end of the first line, so why do it at the end of the third line? Yeah, I mean, why would be, well, because it's the same thing and we want it to be different. And pedaling is something you can do different. But in my opinion, it's better to leave the pedal out at the end of the third line. Don't put it in. Then at the end of the fourth line here, it's connecting and giving its overtone. It's overlapping, it's lag. So I put the notes down first and then the pedal. I change the pedal after I play the notes. And then I lift it as I play the notes in measure 17. So. And that's what they're doing for the pedal. If you like the effect, fine, put it in. However, you don't need it. I'll go ahead and include it except for measure 12. I don't agree with it in measure 12. A little bit about interpretation. Generally speaking, when interpreting syncopated notes, you'll accent them just because they're syncopated. Not everybody's going to do it, and you're not going to do it all the time, but you experiment with it. It doesn't make sense. So it's rather the natural accents is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the natural accents. But if I accent the syncopated note, then it throws it off. If there is no syncopation, then I go back to the natural accents. That's interpretation. It's up to you. Try it both ways and see what you think. don't copy me. It's just one way of doing it. You don't have to take it at that speed. You can do more with the dynamics if you feel like it. Maybe more with the pedal, I don't know. I could probably pedal, a staccato pedal the left hand with these chords. Put the pedal down with the note. It just, for an instant, gives it just a little bit of color. It's a different interpretation. That's all it is. Let's play this together slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. And I'm not going to do louds and softs. I will go ahead and do the pedaling like they're showing, except for measure 12. I'm going to leave it out. We will do the repeats. I'll give us 4 counts. 1 and 2 and ready and go and 1 and